We've got our panelists waiting in the wings here. I'm going to unmute them and get them going up to the stage. All right. All right. They are here. They are here. My dear friend Orna is physically holding my book. She got an advanced copy, y'all. Okay, so I'm going to introduce Orna and Matthew, her husband, first. They are awesome, awesome love coaches, but they're so much more than that. They are world-renowned dating experts and high-performance coaches. They have been featured on Bravo's The Millionaire Matchmaker. They've helped transform thousands of singles around the globe. They have a new book that they're writing that will be out in next January, in January of 2025, through a division of Penguin Random House. And they are dedicated to spreading the message that having love is an inside job. Sidebar, Orna and our friend Carol, who you'll meet in the next panel, are the reason for this forum. They're the reason that this is even happening. They threw a book shower for me that our next guest was actually at. I'll introduce him in just a second. And they really rallied our community of love experts around F the Fairy Tale. So I'm so forever grateful. I'm so happy to have you and Matthew here with us tonight. Thank you for being here.
Well, thanks, Damona. It's really great to be here. You can see Orna's really excited.
I'm just a little excited to be here. I love that I get to hold this here, and I'm so excited for everybody who's part of this F the Fairy Tale Forum, because there's life-changing, really good stuff in these pages.
Thank you. I believe it when you say it, Orna, because you have been in this business for a very long time. And so has our next guest that we're welcoming to the stage. You probably know him. You probably already love him, but I'm going to introduce him anyway. He is Marc Katz. He is known as the dating coach for smart, successful women. He's the author of not one, not two, not three, but 4 books. And he's been featured on so many media outlets, hundreds of media outlets since 2003. His blog has over 35 million readers. His podcast has over 2.5 million downloads. 13,000 women have taken his course, Love You, and his video course. It's his video course that helps smart, successful women find love. He's happily married, living in Los Angeles, and he's also one of my very first friends in this business. He took the call from me like, I don't know, 12 years ago, 13 years ago, when I was like, I'm thinking of leaving my TV producing career behind and being a full-time love coach. And I'm grateful to you for your time then and for your time now. Marc Katz.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really exciting to be here among friends and watch everybody, their new books blossoming in the media. This is really just great for me. So thank you for having me.
I'm glad you're here. And I'm glad that you are here specifically to talk about the pillars. So earlier in the night, we talked about the myths, the 4 big love myths, which I go into in detail in the wonderful book that Orna is holding, and that's right here behind me. But I didn't want to just leave people hanging with the myths and identifying the problems. I really am a solutions-based coach. So I have replaced all of the myths with pillars, with the 4 pillars of long-term compatibility. And I wanted to specifically have the 3 of you talk to us today about the goals and values pillars. I see goals and values as the biggest predictors of long-term compatibility. I have heard from a lot of other dating coaches, and you both have been, you all have been on the Dates and Mates podcast before. So I feel like we are in agreement that goals and values are important, whether you put them as the first pillar or the first thing in your programs or not. But I just want to know the how. How do you help clients really clarify what are their relationship goals through this process when you're coaching, and what are their values? What are they matching on? Evan, I'm going to start with you. How do you do this with clients in Love You?
I'm really obviously supportive of the idea that values come first. I think, if anything, I want to look at it from a slightly different angle, which is to say, because we know this, there's this tendency to want to figure out if someone is your soulmate in the first hour and a half of meeting them. And I generally think that's not the most effective way to date. So we could hold two contradictory ideas in our head at the same time and say, yes, you don't even want to get started if your vision is marriage and kids and he's just looking to have fun, right? But we don't want to interrogate a total stranger and hand them a questionnaire across the dinner table before you get your Caesar salad to try to establish what these values are. So I believe in an organic dating process where we pay attention, we listen really closely to our feelings and allow people to reveal themselves. And you would be shocked to discover that in the first month of dating, you could figure a whole bunch of things about someone that will prevent you from making a colossal mistake.
Okay, so I'm with you on that. And, I say the goals, the goals and values, we have to start first with knowing our own. Because a lot of times people come to me and I say, well, what are you looking for? And they're like, well, I'll know it when I see it. So what are some questions that we can either ask ourselves or, as you were saying, on a date, ask the person across the table, hopefully not across the table, maybe more kitty corner, because that's my recommendation on a date. So it's not an interview. But how do we engage the other person so it's not an interview, as you said, Evan? Like, how can we make this more of a conversation?
There's a wonderful, widely read New York Times piece citing, I think it was Elena Aron, 36 questions to help you fall in love on a first date. Have you ever seen this thing?
Oh, I've seen it. Not only have I seen it, one of the shows that I hosted was called A Question of Love, and it was inspired by those 36 questions. But I want to hear your perspective on it.
So the point is not that you come in with a cheat sheet of 36 questions. What it does so ably is point out that dating is about intimacy, but it's not the kind of intimacy that most people establish on a date. So people go on dates with so how did you vote in the last election? Do you have money saved in the bank? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? This is not how we gather information, right? It has to feel more organic. So it's putting aside the agenda of trying to figure out your future, your values. You're not trying to do that. You're coming from a place of curiosity. And you're talking about feelings and hopes and dreams and past relationships and his relationship with his mom and his sister. And right, it's more about that than what are you streaming? What's the next country you're going to? It's establishing just through real conversation without the weight of let's figure out our future. And I think that to me is as important as trying to figure out core values at the very beginning, because those things, people could say anything and it doesn't mean anything. It's really, how does someone continue to treat you over time, and listening to, do I feel relaxed? Do I feel anxious? And walking away from relationships that make you feel anxious. So I'm not disagreeing with your assertion that incompatible values will eventually blow you up. It's that I don't think you could establish them as quickly as often people want to. Yeah,
I definitely see that. And we always begin in my programs with the you. Like, you are you're the magnet that's attracting the right people to you. But you also have to be able to answer some of those questions yourself. And I find that sometimes people want to answer those questions through the dating process and in relationship, but I find it goes a little bit better if you've done that investigation and that journey yourself. I'm going to go over to Orna and Matthew, because I know you've led a lot of people through this experience and you help people examine their love imprint, TM, love imprint. That's an Orna and Matthew special. But you really do a deep dive with clients, where yes, you're getting them out on dates and using the dating apps and everything, but your process starts from sort of a different place than maybe mine, or another coach's might. Tell us about it.
Well, definitely. I mean, what most people don't realize is they're attracted to what is familiar. And what is familiar to them comes from their family of origin in their early childhood from 0 to 8. And so, you think about that young baby that comes into the world. And we always say that, that baby is the human embodiment of the energy of love. They have no story about love. They give love freely, they receive love freely. I mean, you know, with your kids when they came in, they're just little love bombs, right? But they learn very quickly in your family of origin, you learn that love is conditional in some way. And in that understanding love is conditional, you take in this story about yourself. You say, what is wrong with me that my parent isn't able to love me the way I need to be loved? What is wrong with me that my dad is emotionally distant? And we take on these wounding stories, and then they become part of a subconscious program, your love imprint, as you said. And when we go out in the world as adults, our subconscious mind is highlighting people that match that energetic story. And it says, this is familiar, this is familiar, this is familiar. And what people don't realize is that this is familiar signal, we confuse it for excitement and we confuse it for attraction. And what it is just, this is what you're used to. This is the same thing. Here's that same emotionally unavailable guy. Here he is again. Here he is again. And they're highlighted, right? You say that we're a magnet attracting, but it's more that we're a filter highlighting what we already know.
Like we all know that when you walk into a room of people, you don't consciously decide to find someone attractive, right? It's not a conscious decision. It's something that seems to just happen. And that happening, like Matthew said, it's based on the familiar. It's really the flaw in the system, because the subconscious mind has one job and one job only. And that job is to keep you alive. And so it highlights the familiar. Like our mind in every moment is filtering through 2 million bits of information to say, what's familiar here? We've had that experience of walking into a room and connecting with somebody. It may not be an attraction, but suddenly we start up a conversation with somebody and we have all these things in common with them. That's not kismet, it's science. Your brain is meant to highlight what is familiar, because if you're alive right now, whatever you've been through, you've survived. So your subconscious is guiding you towards the familiar, but here's the flaw. Your subconscious can't judge. That happens in the conscious mind. The analytical mind is the part of you that evaluates and judges and analyzes. So your subconscious doesn't know if it's guiding you towards something familiar by highlighting it and bringing you joy or bringing you misery, because it can't judge. It just says, this is familiar, ding, 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 because the subconscious has 2 buckets, known and unknown. So when we start with a client, we always start with that individual client. We don't start with dating. We assign dating about a third of the way through. If you look at our program as 3 parts. So the first part is about them, their love imprint, who they are at their highest and best self, because we believe you connect with that special person. You connect with your beloved, your whatever you want to call it, your soulmate, your right person, your partner, whatever, that you do that on the path to your highest and best self. And you do that from really going through the process of understanding that you are the common denominator, right? Like I love Evan's point. You said this point about paying attention to how you feel when you're with somebody. You know, we always talk about when we do assign dating, how do you feel in a sense on the walk to the car, right? I mean, it's funny that all of us on this panel all worked in the film industry or in the entertainment industry, the TV and film industry. And I thought, well, that's interesting, because having worked for someone like Jerry Bruckheimer, one of his best quotes, like it's all over the place, Jerry would say, we keep them or lose them on the walk to the car. So after a movie, are they still talking about the movie? They're not talking about the movie. And I think of dating the same way. What are you feeling when you immediately separate from that person? We ask our clients, what do you feel on the walk to the car? And this is based on what I was going through when I was single. I remember going out with like a super hot guy. And when we parted, oh my gosh, my inner critic was reaming me up. Oh my gosh. Like it was like, you didn't, and you haven't, and you should have, and you could have, and you didn't, and you should have, and you didn't. And I was like, oh, I can never see that guy again. I don't care how hot he is. My right person will not light my inner critic like that. So I gave him a thumbs down. Nope, no more.
Wow. You just gave us a master class, both of you, on like so much about how our prior experiences impact our attractions. We have a bunch of questions in the chat. So I'd love to talk to you more about goals and the pillars and goals and values, but I want to get some real world help for the folks that are submitting questions right now. If you're just joining us, there's a little Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. Go ahead and pop any questions or comments in there. We're not doing any live questions today. or the chat, because we have a lot of people watching from all over the world, and we just want to have it be a enjoyable, streamlined experience for you. You have enough notifications and chats going, I'm sure, but a lot of great questions here that have been submitted. What about this one, Evan? Okay, so you come from actually originally, like, I say I was writing dating profiles back before even people knew what online dating was. And you were doing it even before that. You worked at JDate, correct? You worked at JDate and you were like answering the phones. Tell us a little bit about that story.
Yeah, I mean, 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, I was a screenwriter who couldn't sell a screenplay. It's not an uncommon story. And so while I was putting myself through film school, I got a job answering phones at JDate, doing customer service, getting yelled at by strangers, a job I'm temperamentally not suited for. And I did that for about a year. And when I decided to write a book called I Can't Believe I'm Buying This Book, A Common Sense Guide to Successful Internet Dating. And it was when online dating was going mainstream for the first time. New York Times magazine cover story validated the mainstreaming of online dating. And for once in my life, I was in the right place at the right time. And I built a business called eCyrano. It still exists. Writing people's online dating profiles. And so, written thousands of profiles. I've probably written 1,000 by myself. And it's a rare superpower. It's one of the things where I heard the previous panel, you're talking about profiles, like, oh man, I wish I got that question.
Well, you can answer that question, the question that you wish you got. And then I have a follow-up question from one of the viewers right now. But tell us, like, give us a masterclass.
I would be thrilled to spend a minute telling everybody how to write the world's greatest profile that nobody does. And this is not a Bumble profile, which is one line long. This is a conventional, here's a Match.com profile. Start here. Think of the 5 adjectives that you would use to describe yourself the most. Damona, what are the 5 adjectives you would use to describe yourself the most?
Curious, enthusiastic, hardworking.
Okay, let's just start there. Let's start with curious. It's a great word. Now, who are we writing this profile for? It's not about you, right? You think it's about you, but this isn't a bio. It's not a resume. It's not a diary entry. This is a personal ad. It's designed to attract attention, if you're heterosexual, of a man. So how does your curiosity, or how has your curiosity benefited a guy in the past? So you tell a story about a guy you dated and how your curiosity benefited him. I found the coolest out-of-the-way restaurant while we were in Florence that wasn't in any of the guidebooks, and the owner took us into his private wine cellar for drinks after he closed down the restaurant.
Did you know that story, Evan?
I've been doing this for a long time. So when you can take your core characteristics and turn them into one-line anecdotes, illustrating what someone else gets out of dating you, you'll have a profile like nobody else in the world, because everybody else is nice, smart, kind, warm, funny, hiking, biking, movies, music, travel, best friend, lover, partner in crime. Instead of, what do I get out of dating you? That's the secret. And I've been doing that forever. If you could do it yourself, you never need to hire me.
Thank you for sharing that. You guys, that is seriously gold. And I wish I thought of it, but Marc Katz thought of it first. But you will get an F the Fairy Tale, my strategy for writing dating profiles, which is really similar. I talk about storytelling, and people think that when I say storytelling, I mean long. No, you can say a lot. And I give an example in the book of, like, this is like what you're saying, partner in crime, like all those sort of common things that we see in dating profiles. And then we replace it with more of a story, like you said, and it's the same characters, but it can say a lot more. Thank you. Orna is holding up the book.
Every time you say it's in the book, that's my cue to hold it up.
Thank you. FTheFairyTaleBook.com. It's available for pre-order now. But I want to ask you one more online dating specific question, because it's a question that I get all the time, and I really am dying to hear what your response to it is. And it's from somebody who's live in the room right now. Jeannie says, what's the best site for women over 65?
Ah, uh, I appreciate the question. And it's honestly one of the most common questions that I get, probably that you guys get as well. Which site do I go to? And to me, which site do I go to is the equivalent of which gym do I lose the most weight? Is it 24-hour fitness? Is it Crunch? Is it Equinox? Where am I going to lose the most weight? When the fact is, it doesn't matter. All gyms work. It's what you do when you go to the gym. So as long as you're on a big mainstream site and there's people there, you're in business. You don't want to go to some niche site that nobody's heard of. But anything you've heard of, Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, Coffee Meets Bagel if you're using an app, Plenty of Fish, Match.com, OkCupid, Match owns all of them. Any of them work fine. If you're over 65 and you want to deal with only over 65, go to Our Time. But the site doesn't matter nearly as much as what you do when you go on the site.
Yep. I 100% agree with you. And it's just the tool. I think we put a lot of pressure on the app or the site that we're on to, like, we put all of our hopes and dreams and expectations in it. And then we also, when we have dating frustration or when we have a bad dating experience, we say, well, it's the app. It's that app. I just need another app, when it's really more about, the process. One more question over here for Orna and Matthew. I want to give y'all a juicy one because I know you have like the juiciest answers. Okay, this is a little controversial. Matthew, I want to hear from you first.
Okay.
This is a anonymous attendee who's here with us live right now.
Yeah.
She says, for women, I feel like lots of the time the message is to lower your standards. Meanwhile, men are not improving themselves like we have. And in my area, it feels like a dating desert. My guest on Dates and Mates last week and I literally just talked about the dating desert. So this person says, I have likes on my profile, but not anyone I end up feeling curious about lately. And I don't know if it's connected to the next question. Does that mean that my standards are too high? I'll connect those two questions, whether they're from the same person or different. What's going on? Are women getting better? Men are getting worse? What's happening, Matthew?
It drives me crazy because we hear so often, well, I do all the spiritual growth and the personal growth programs, and I've been to this yoga class and that meditation class, and yet I don't meet any men there that have like-minded. And the thing is, men do not do personal growth the way women do. We do it our own way. A lot of men are do-it-yourselfers. I love to use my brother as an example. He built his own house. He builds his own furniture, and he's also a computer programmer. And he is a guy that when he was a kid, I thought my brother's going nowhere. He failed at everything, right? But he then figured out how to put things together, and he actually figured out a lot of Zen principles through building furniture, right? He's one of the most Zen people I know because he just does it with his hands. So if you're expecting a man to be like in your yoga class with you or to go to that personal growth workshop with you, that's a different kind of guy, and you're probably not going to be that attracted to him, right? So you want to just let go of what your preconceived notions of how men do things and how women do things, and just be more curious. I think the place where you want standards, the place where you want to have like a high bar, is when you're committing to a relationship. You want to have a really low bar when you're looking for dates, because you don't know who somebody is in a profile. You have no clue. None of these guys hired a dating coach. They're throwing a picture of them next to their car because it thinks they make them look successful, right? They don't know what they're doing. They're just trying to meet people. And so stop judging a man by his profile and just meet him for coffee or a drink and then get to know him.
I like to say this. I like to say, not an axe murderer. Good. I can go meet him for an hour. I mean, like, seriously, it really depends. I mean, if you're a woman who gets a lot of attention online, then you are going to need some filters, right? I mean, you just are. And, our clients that get a lot of attention online, we're like, you don't even have to respond to everybody. Depending on who you are and where you are, if you're not getting a lot of action, it's not about lowering your standards. It's about really opening up the possibility, because you have no idea where you're going to meet your person. One of my closest friends from college is married to the guy whose brother I met on JDate. Hi, Evan. I never talked to you in customer service. But, so here's the thing, like, you never know. Like, if I hadn't got those two people, by the way, would not have met through JDate, even though they were there, because she's a year older and her age was the cutoff and she was in the next section. So he was looking his age and younger, and she was at the cutoff group and she was in the next group. I am right. So this whole thing about trying to, find out if it's your person by looking at their profile, you're not going to know that. You will never find your partner by looking over their profile. So go and meet somebody. And I kind of look at it like an investment. All the time you spend dating is all the time you're going to spend when you actually have that partner. So if you don't have time to date, you don't have time for a relationship. So stop guarding your time, which is an excuse for really guarding your heart. If you really want to meet your person, I dated more than I ever dated in my entire life this summer before Matthew and I started dating, before we connected. And the thing is I just was at this place of like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm just gonna go. I went on blind dates. I went with guys younger than me, older than me. I just went. Like, if somebody wanted to meet with me, I was like, it's an hour. What's an hour? And if they were rude or didn't look like their picture or there was a deal breaker right from the bat, I went, I'm sorry, I'm leaving. Bye. And I just got up and took care of myself. I mean, the thing is when you decide you really want to share your life with someone, which I had gotten to, I was like, then I just have to be who I am. Like, let your freak flag fly so your beloved can find you, and go and meet a lot of people. I was at a Manifest Your Soulmate workshop, and this woman at the end said, Orna, can I introduce you to my son? And you know why I said yes to that? I wanted to meet the guy that would let his mother set him up. I thought the guy who would let his mother set up and show up for that date, I want to meet that guy. So stop guarding your time and see it for what it is, because you're really guarding your heart.
Wow. Man, there's more questions. There's so many gems that were dropped. I could talk to y'all all day. I've talked to both of you on Dates and Mates. You're both going to be back on Dates and Mates at some point in the future. But in the meantime, let me tell you about what you all can get we have free gifts from all of our panelists tonight. Over $1,400 in free gifts from Evan, from Orna and Matthew, from everybody. Orna and Matthew are giving away their dating success bundle. This is like all of their tools for making dating easy and effective. You get speak how you feel template, 25 limiting beliefs that interfere with finding true love, your breakup script, rate your date journal, so many things. And that will help you end dating burnout if you're feeling that. And those are all going to be on the replay page that you will get tomorrow, all of those links. And you can just sign up for any of the free gifts that you would like. You can also get from Evan the 7 massive mistakes you're making in dating. So if you're tired of Tinder, you're burnt out on Bumble, you can't seem to find any quality guys, you're not alone. And Evan is going to give you more tips. He dropped some serious gems, y'all. What he told us about writing a dating profile, I hope you were taking notes, but there's more notes for you if you go over and check out what his offer is tomorrow. Thank you both for being here. What a wonderful panel. I learned a lot from talking to the two of you. I have over the years. I'm so grateful to all three of you for supporting me, supporting this book, and being a part of the forum.
Congratulations to you, Damona. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm really just so excited about your book.
Brava. Thank you so much for
more
having
like
me.
it.
Yeah, and you know what? There's gold in here. There's gold in these.
Thank
pages.
you.
Go get your coffee.
Thank you,
Look,
Orna.
your name's right there, Damona. Oh my God.
I know. And you all, we are doing the world premiere of the book trailer of F the Fairy Tale. So after this panel, we're going to play that for you. And then I'm going to introduce our final panel of the evening. But just a reminder for anyone who's coming in, just popping in for this panel, we are also doing a pre-order giveaway for F the Fairy Tale. Y'all, this is apparently the biggest giveaway that my publisher has ever done. It includes you could win 2 VIP tickets to the Drew Barrymore show. Like literally sit there on the floor next to Drew, smell her amazing hair and perfume. You will laugh, you will cry. It is literally the funniest taping. And as Orna was saying, we've all worked in entertainment. They're not all fun and funny. This show is super funny. You could win tickets to that. You could win a $500 travel voucher. You could win a $500 shopping spree courtesy of Democracy Clothing. I am wearing a Democracy dress, super comfortable, super inclusive, size inclusive. And you could also win an OkCupid premium membership. So that's all at damonahoffman.com/giveaway, all just for buying the book. It's $30. And you can get it on sale through my publisher now. Go to damonahoffman.com/giveaway and you'll have all the info there. Thank you, Orna and Matthew. I'm so excited to have you all here with me tonight celebrating. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yay.